Right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another Home Gym Roundtable. We have great topics as usual. 5 guys. And let's do
I know. It makes me think of burgers and fries.
It's always so awkward. All right. So we've got 5 guys. Let's start off with I'll do a quick intro to everybody and we'll get rolling. All right, number 1, Jason from Man Who Parks in Gym. He's back again. We have Coach Carp. We have Scott, aka the Far Outpost. This is his first time on the show. We have Mark, aka Flex Marks the Spot, and then Joey Echeverria, his first time on the show as well. Thank you all for hopping on this beautiful Tuesday night. To start off, we ended last week's, not sure if everybody here listened to it, but we ended last week's roundtable talking about Kabuki. So they relaunched their website and we basically asked, are they going to make it? Right before this podcast, I was scanning the Facebook group on Garage Gym Reviews Facebook page, and I just figured I'd read this. I'm not going to read who said it, but basically they said, last week I ordered a Kabuki PR deadlift bar from their legacy sale. I thought it was weird that the most premium finish nickel was the cheapest option upon checking out, and shipping was only $4.47. So obviously I jumped on it. Fast forward to this week, and considering they claim fast shipping with their new website, I reached out and asked where my order was. For the response, they sent me another invoice for the error on the website that I should have been charged for shipping. I stated I bought the bar based off the initial price I was charged, but they refused to honor it. I get that mistakes happen, but this is an annoying one considering they are claiming a better purchasing process with the new ownership. I mean, I just think we ended last week's podcast saying there had been so many issues with specifically Carp and Jason's orders. They just said it basically every order there was just something. There was something that came up that made it more complicated than just a simple purchase. And I think this is a specific example that, you just relaunched a website, you have new ownership. This sounds like the same old Kabuki. And if this continues, there's not a chance that they're going to make it. This makes me not want to buy from Kabuki. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on this. You guys said you saw the post as well, but I mean, we were all kind of hope it changes, and we really want them to succeed. But this is another example of just something that isn't.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they caught it as actually an improvement, to be honest, or that they didn't fulfill the order. Fun little story here that I don't know, probably shouldn't be telling here. Maybe not. I don't know. You had a buddy DM me. Yeah, DM me sometime last year. It was like, hey, I don't know if this is a pricing issue or not, but if you go to this Kabuki link and they have all these products here for $0. And it was like, okay, sure. Put in an order for a few things, figured I think I did have to pay for shipping though. But yeah, didn't think they were going to get fulfilled. They actually did. Was not any big name items, or it was just a few little accessory things, but went through, felt
nice.
Felt guilty about it. Still kind of do, to be honest with you. So that's kind of why I'm putting it out there, getting it off my chest. So feel much better now. But yeah, the fact that they are not fulfilling that PR deadlift bar order and they're stopping it, as opposed to that other experience I had. I mean, it's a little bit of an improvement, but yeah, it's the fact that they're still having these issues despite what it looks like. I think they even just overhauled their entire staff, all their systems, everything. I don't know, something else is not right.
Yeah. So I also saw that, and my first thought was, I was like, how do I want to respond to this? Like what, whatever, but I just ended up not, but I was thinking like, this is typical. I was going to say, I thought new Kabuki, like spoiler alert, new Kabuki is old Kabuki with a different name or whatever. I think what stood out to me the most, just taking that at face value, if he really did order it like a week ago and it hadn't shipped and hadn't been caught until he brought it to their attention, that feels like old Kabuki to me. The fact that they had a pricing error and stuff, like, I don't know, would it have been cool if they had shipped it to him with the $447 that he paid? Sure. But at the same time, like, it would be one of those things where I would buy it and I would hope, and if they caught it, I would then be like, ah, shit. You know what I mean? Like that's so, you know what I mean? Like they didn't, I wouldn't try to muscle somebody into it and feel entitled to it, knowing that it was a mistake, whatever. But that's not really a reflection of the company or anything. I think that the fact that they took more than their 10 days that they said they were going to be down to build the website, they got it. They basically, looks like they, to me, copied, paste, changed the font, put a new logo on there and like new buttons and whatever. But like, it's all the information. I mean, it still has all the same like reviews from the old site and everything. You know what I mean? It's all the same information. So the fact that somebody fat fingered a shipping calculator in there or whatever, just, I don't know. It just sounds like they're starting right where they left off with a new name and logo.
Do you think though that is incumbent on us as like, you're not going to Kabuki for a discount bar, right? So everything I have in my garage from Kabuki, I mean, it didn't matter what the invoice said, right? I understood that I was getting kind of like the higher end stuff. So the fact that they're shipping on a transformer bar was just dumb was fine, right?
I just, when you're buying it for from their legacy stock on their super discount, they've been sending out 20% off coupons and stuff like that all week. That feels like more discount. And shit, man, that bar today, when I first ordered it, when it first came out, I mean, it started just plummeting in price over the last year or whatever, 2 years, I guess.
Yeah.
It's out now. So I don't know. I mean, it's not that much more than the Texas Deadlift Bar or whatever, but I guess budget compared to like Strong Arm Sport or something like that, maybe. But
yeah, and again, I'm probably a little different, right? But the way I look at it is that if like, I never tried to get anything out of Rogue during COVID either, right? Like if it's a company I support and it's a product I want and the shipping is $45 instead of $4, and they say, hey man, yeah, we blew that, right? We didn't test the website. We relaunched quickly. We should have tested this stuff. We missed it. I mean, it's a $700 bar or something, $600 bar. Like, really, for $40, I'm going to go shame them on a web. That's just not me.
Right.
Now, I've had bad experiences where I felt like companies were dishonest with me and I just stopped using them for services.
Yeah.
But it takes, like Carp knows me, it takes a lot to get me to say something bad. And I think that, I don't know Chris, right? But I think that he means well. It's just sometimes you're not meant to grow, right? Or you're not able to scale to the point where you can serve the amount of people you need to serve. And so then, you go to business. I mean, that's just how life is sometimes.
Yeah.
But I don't know that was necessarily like, I don't know that customer needs to complain about it. They knew shipping wasn't $4 on a 45-pound item.
I'm with you. Yeah. Especially Kabuki shipping. I mean, they pay the same amount I do whenever I go to ship one. It's not like Rogue where it's $35 or whatever.
Well, my thing on that though, like, having the past 2 or 3 months, like, they've been advertising free shipping. Like, Kabuki bars are all free shipping. So could this guy have seen an old ad and say, hey, these are on sale, and expected free shipping anyway? That's what I wondered, because
maybe.
When I bought mine, it was like $150 shipping. There was no free shipping or whatever. So like Jason was saying, those bars have come down $200 in price in the past year. So if you bought a deadlift bar in nickel last year, you paid like almost $700 for it after it shipped. Well, now they're saying
if you bought a deadlift bar in nickel last year, you might be receiving it now.
And it might be damaged.
Right.
Or look like an alligator crawled over it.
Yeah, Kabuki's Kabuki, man.
Well, sounds like some of you agree with me, some of you don't. But I mean, I feel like they should have just honored it, just sent it to him. All right, let's go to that next topic. So, over the past few years, when you think about the home gym market, we've seen rep go up. I guess primarily rep. You've also seen like companies like Bells of Steel, and the big name that kept getting brought up as somebody that hasn't really brought a ton to the market, specifically for the home gym crowd, has been Rogue. Over the last, I don't know, I would say like 3 years. But with their new release of the rack attached functional trainers, the CTM1, which is basically like matches the rep, which product is that?
Adonis.
It's
Adonis.
the Adonis. So it's pretty much the rep Adonis. They have new, like, have the UDA coming out in multiple colors, just more barbell options, and cheaper barbell options, coming out with NFL options. But anyways, is Rogue back for the home gym? Like, has the monster of Rogue awakened, and are they more focused on the home gym market again?
So they don't.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, so they don't have, they're not publicly traded. So we don't know if this is one of those things where they took a hit, like Rep is cutting in, Titan's cutting in. People are starting to chisel away at them. And so this is a defensive move or a reactionary move. My guess is that as the biggest manufacturer in America of home gym stuff, they spent the last 3 years just trying to unbury themselves. Right. And now they're finally, if the stuff they're doing now, maybe it was in research and development in end of 2022, and then they took last year to kind of get it going, and now they're ready to deliver it. I think this is more just the normal, they had it going. But I do love, and I'll shut up so everyone else can talk here, but I do love the fact that Rep came out with some really good stuff at Home Gym Con. Like, they showed off in a way that certainly put Rogue on notice, but I don't know that right now what we're seeing is necessarily like Bill worrying about anything. I think this is just the normal innovation that took a few years to get out because they had so many orders they couldn't even see the printer, right, for the last couple of years. That's my guess.
I disagree. I think this was Bill kind of taking things a little bit personally, because I don't know like how often you guys ever look at his comment section and things like that. Everybody is always like, specifically, like name dropping Rep. It's like, hey, like, when are you going to do a product similar to Rep's Aries or Rep's Adonis or whatever, And I mean, with how competitively priced they had these specific products, it really looks like that. Yeah, that they were specifically trying to target a Rep and kind of undercut them a little bit there. Because I mean, like, if they're basically going to be the same price, it's going to be a no-brainer for most people to probably go with Rogue just for name recognition alone. But I mean, just my take on that. I mean, I have no idea. Rep or Rogue doesn't really let anyone know anything behind the scenes. So I mean, just my guess there.
I actually agree with both Scott and Mark. So I saw a comment on, or maybe it was even in the text of one of Bill's posts, where he said that they had fallen behind on development. They had been focused on growing and just trying to scale the business, and that they have some catch up to do. But it's also clear that they're targeting Rep. I mean, the descriptions of the products reference Rep products, not by name, but by description. And the pricing is really going for the jugular with Rep. Like, I was not expecting them to be this competitive. If the pricing on the CT M1 stays the same as it is right now, it's basically the same price as a fully loaded Adonis if you get the stack version, for made in America and a 90-pound heavier stack.
Yeah, I definitely see that, and I do agree with the pricing as a strategy, and it may be a response to Rep. I think that with Rogue, it's really hard to know. I mean, one day they might release a Pritchett pad, and that is 100%, no mistake, a home gym type of attachment. And then the next rapid fire release is going to be like a mom strength t-shirt and a pair of Noble trainers in a colorway that's been out since 2017, right? So I'm also not like 100% certain that I'm really ever been convinced that Rogue is a company who necessarily caters to the home gym specifically. I mean, there are a lot of home gyms that do happen to have a lot of like Rogue, are outfitted with Rogue products and stuff. I mean, mine used to be one. But when you take a look at like their history of products release, like you said, in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years or whatever, I think maybe aside from like the Cave, this might be the first like big thing that they've really done that seems to give any kind of illusion that they do seem to have some kind of an interest in the home gym market, as you know, they see that as a market of interest rather than like just simply a side effect of the lack of options that we had, you know, prior to 2020 and stuff, or effective brand marketing that they seem to own the market with. But I also think that the home gym market itself has evolved. I mean, I've joked for the last couple of years or whatever that I don't really identify as a home gymmer so much, but more that I'm like a displaced commercial gymmer. The more that I watch social media, talk to others and stuff like that, I kind of see the masses are shifting from, like we were talking about earlier, sitting on the floor doing low rows with like a homemade cable and pulley system that you put together from Home Depot or whatever.
Yeah.
And now people are demanding things like Smith machines and functional trainers and freestanding leg machines in their home gyms. I mean, the more I see that stuff, the more I feel like maybe, it's not that Rogue is focusing so much on home gyms again, but just that maybe more home gyms are simply evolving into what is more of kind of an overlap, I guess, with the market that Rogue was already focused on all along. Private personal training facilities, athletic facilities, colleges, stuff like that. But
yeah, like I
if
was
you remember a few
comment with
years
you guys,
ago, like on the Rogue website.
Go ahead, Jason.
There's a delay, I think, but like even just a couple of years ago, like on the Rogue website, like if you went to the Monster version, it specifically said like this is for college training facilities or professional whatever. And so whenever I was shopping, I was like, oh, well, that's definitely not me. You know what I mean? I need the Monster Light, you know what I mean, or whatever. Like, which was even still like overkill. But now I don't think they have that verbiage on there anymore. But that's what I still think. Maybe that's kind of their main focus, and we just happen to be like the uber nerds who buy into it. Overbuild.
Yeah, I was just going to say on the home gym side of it. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. What's up, Carp?
I was just going to say on the home gym side of it, some of the guys that did the early pre-order when the FM6 came out, the plate loaded version, some guys went ahead and put an order in on that and then ended up getting like a $200, $150 refund. So it was a higher price point at first, and they came down and dropped it. I know the twin and everything wasn't out at that time, but if you had placed a pre-order and had a loaded up rack, they came back and gave money back. So that's one of the first times I've ever seen Rogue do that. So that does lend to that they might be trying to go after that home gym price point, like with the rep. And then also, it just makes sense for them to have some type of rack like that. So even if they are doing facilities, you go to most of those like Alabama and all those different huge facilities, they have 100-inch racks. So there's no reason they can't have a functional trainer on the top of the rack, pull it down whenever they need it. Like in the home gym, you're going to have a smaller type footprint, so that could get in the way in the home gym. But in those big facilities, they could build 8-10 squat racks and have 2 functional trainers in the middle, and it not really affect their mobility and stuff like that. But I do think that they kind of went after the home gym with that, dropped that price point on that one.
Yeah, I got the same thing. I pre-ordered the twin the first day that it released, and 2 days later they gave me $500 back because they dropped the price.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean personally, I think with how close that the prices are to reps, like it's very specific. They are going after rep, which I think if you're a rep, it's kind of like a challenge. So now rep has to figure out like how to make their products better or make their products cheaper. Just knowing that a lot of people are going to probably go with the Made in America option. And I did do that poll. So I did do a poll. Let me just check it out. It was you either choose the Rogue CTM or the Rep Adonis, and 40% said Rogue CTM, 33% said Adonis, and then 27% said I need more info to decide. And then I think somebody else, there were a few other good comments on an Instagram post. Somebody made a good point that if Rogue truly does get these out in July. A lot of people might get them before Rep releases them. And then just knowing that Rogue can make the changes within America, just like within their headquarters and factories, or manufacturing area, like they might have the advantage for this product for a V2 as well. So, I think that is some important information. But I think that CTM looks pretty awesome. So excited to see how that goes.
I saw one comment on your Instagram post that said MW Pig 5 saves 5% at Prime Fitness in the Prodigy Rack. Thought that was pretty funny.
How would you say that the Prodigy Rack compares to, or just the single stack compares to the Rogue and Rep?
The single stack, they're really close. I mean, the only thing I think, I'm trying to remember, I mean, honestly, I don't know. The single stack is all pretty similar. The only thing I can remember that I think noticing difference wise was I mean, clearly the little trolley system thing, which is, I mean, if you're not putting, well, there's weights on each side of it, so you can balance it out and stuff that way. And if you're not putting like heavy, like 90 pounds on one, it doesn't really seem to cause that offset anyway. I like how the Prodigy has the pulley that kind of jets out so you can position your body to it. I can't remember which one it is that's like at the top of it, but it's not sticking out.
They're both a little too close.
A little too close to the upright. So if you try to get under it, you're sticking your nose into a hole.
Got it.
That maybe didn't want it to be. And are they both floor seated for low rows?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See, I left that shit in 2020, man.
I was wondering what Scott thought about him, because I know he's had two monster lat pull downs. Or how does it compare? Did you get him at Home Gym Con versus like what Rogue already has on the market?
So we're talking about the Adonis, or are we talking about the
either one? Like, I know like you didn't get to see the new Rogue one at Home Gym Con, but I think you saw the Adonis, and then you have a monster.
I told.
Maybe you can speak to the quality.
Yeah, I told the rep guys that if they had come out with Adonis a year or two ago, I'd have it. Right? I mean, that was the ability to go up and down in the front, right? And so you get a little bit different stuff. That's great. I have the LP2, which is like the the commercial model, right? To your point with them serving the commercial market, right? And it was way more expensive than anyone's going to pay for those other two, and it better last my kid's lifetime. Right? But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of things that kind of the old guard, right? The people that were around before COVID, building. There's a lot of things that we're just going to admire from afar because we can't really flip anymore. I couldn't sell this LP2 for anything near what I paid for it. Right. And then the effort to get someone to show up with a box truck and a forklift, right, to take it out of my house, like that's mine. It'll get sold with the house at some point, right? And that's the only. And then hey, for Joey there with that $500, I got great news for you. That's going to pay Kabuki shipping on a transformer bar. So keep that handy. Keep that, yeah.
Nice.
Definitely going to keep that in mind.
All right. Anything else on the rogue stuff?
The only other thing I wanted to mention was I've seen like job postings on Rep for facility sales. And so I think they are definitely going more for that market. And so I think that is also part of it. So not just positioning these for the home gym, but also positioning these for facilities to make sure that people don't choose Rep over Rogue. Because if they start eating into that business, that's a much bigger deal than Rogue losing market share in the home gym.
So you know what's crazy there for me is that when I think of commercial, gentlemen, I only think of Sorinex. Like when I see the NBA gyms on the thing, and when I see, like the baseball gyms and stuff in the schools, right? It's always Sorinex, and they have that guy, that Mikey McKim guy, right? That's like strong like bear. He's always doing the funny stuff. And that's like his whole gig, right? His commercial setup. So I guess those would be more like, not commercial, but more like big corporate setups, maybe. I don't know what you call a baseball team. So that's like, can Rep and Rogue really compete with a company like Sorinex if that's all they're doing? Because Sorinex doesn't sell anything to me, right? I mean,
Rogue does. I don't think they're as big as Sorinex in that market, but they're pretty big, and they've showcased some huge builds.
I think Rogue does a lot of the military installments.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, I think reps going more for like studios. You know, they have all these like pre-packaged like storage and dual Athena, dual Adonis, like all these setups that, you know, aren't probably going to go in home gyms, but they're going to go for like the studios who make under $1 million a year.
Gotcha,
and I think like I don't think Soren X has the capability to cater to all of those. So I think reps going to be in many training facilities for the ones that just want to order posts and put it together themselves.
Nice.
Yeah. It's interesting that when you think commercial, that's what your mind goes to Soren X. Mine goes to like Life Fitness, and Hammer Strength, and the machines. You know. And so whenever I think of like the commercial gyms that I've been to, it's like like if they have like they'll have like a rig from Rogue in there, so like the 6 CrossFit people can hoop and holler over in the corner or whatever, and then it's just machines everywhere and dad bods in the mirror. But that's anyway. Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
Hey, and in fairness, my notes do say you don't know what commercial is, so I was right there with you, man. Who parks in gym? Yeah, I was right there with you.
Yeah, I was fact checking your knowledge on commercial.
Yes.
All right,
don't talk to the displaced commercial gymmer about it. No, just.
All right, last week we discussed a little bit of potential collaborations that didn't happen. Do you guys have any? I'd love to just, in general, see more collaborations. Do you guys have any companies or ideas that you'd like to share that basically a couple companies that would collaborate on a product? Any ideas?
I have an answer here. Okay. So I mean, first, I don't really care. I mean, like, I guess I've just never really thought about it until you asked this question. I never thought about how I'd like to see two companies collab so much as maybe I've just thought like, I wish that someone would maybe make this thing that doesn't exist in the world or whatever, right? Like maybe, I mean, there have been some brands like Ghost and Kabuki was one I thought was pretty cool, even though I never really bought into that. But you know, what I would like to see, I think maybe, I don't know if this is along the same lines as a collab. I don't even know the name of the company or the product or whatever. Mark, I think you might have one of these things or whatever, but you know that you like put it on your barbell and you use an app or something and it measures like your bar path and your speed and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think it would be kind of cool if you could get a company like that to work with whoever has the rights to like sound bites so that you can select a specific voice to give you like a little boost of encouragement when the sensor
lightweight, baby.
Yeah, buddy.
Like if you're into Star Wars or whatever, you could get Yoda and have it said do or do not, you know, and then or like as you finish out that final rep, you know, you could. If you're one of those people that like responds really well to being called a pacifier sucking pussy, you could have CT Fletcher just get berated to your heart's content. But I don't know. I don't know. I really don't have an idea of it. That would be kind of cool.
Home gym ringtone, we're gonna call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So my first thought was Mutant Metals collabing with Rogue or maybe even Rep on the snapback roller J cups, because those things are incredible, but I know that they're a bear to manufacture in a small facility, so getting big manufacturing behind that would be awesome. The other one that came to mind was Jim Pin, Kyle, Vendetta partnering with Rep on jammer arms and like their jammer arm attachments, because Rep's jammer arms are still bare bones. I've heard they're working on a new iteration of it, but if they came in now and collabed with those companies and those guys and included that, I think that would be huge win for home gym owners and also just a huge like PR boost for them.
Yeah, I'm going to steal this from Carp because I asked him earlier what he thought, and this was his, and he didn't talk, so I'm taking it, Carp. But you know what? What I want more than anything in the world for my gym is a Kratos, right? Which is kind of like a Cerberus version of the elephant deadlift bar. right? And I get it. You're looking at me and you're saying you'd have to list it empty. I get it, but I'd still like to have one, right? So that was a weak joke. Only Carp laughed. All right, and the way they'd have to do that, because if you guys have tried to order that thing, it's like $900 for the bar and a couple hundred for shipping. It was like $1,400 to get it to my house. Is go with the Rogue, right? Go with a local manufacturer in America. They can cut down on the shipping that way. And I guess some of the shipping problem is the length, right? They have to put it on a pallet. But, they could get creative with that as well. Or we'd have the ability to at least drive and pick it up if you're within, a couple states, right? That's what I'd like to see, is take something like that that's a specialty product from one of those companies. Do what you did with Kabuki, right? With a Cadillac bar, right? Cut them in on it, and then just have it manufactured here. It's a product that, like, a company like Rogue has proven to be good at, so we don't have questions about the quality, right? Thanks, Carl.
How is that bar different than the elephant bar?
Well, I don't think they're much different. The elephant bar is 35, and I thought the Kratos was 32, so it's just a little bit thinner. But they're both 10 feet long. And, let's just be honest, gentlemen. I would just love to see my neighbors see me putting some wagon wheels on that thing and throwing it around. I think it'd be hilarious. I scare them anyway. Let's do some real damage around here.
I lifted that with the Hummer tires on there at Home Gym Con, not knowing how much weight was on the bar.
I think it was 500 plus with those tires on there.
Yeah, it felt really heavy.
Yeah, so my collaboration was not nearly as ambitious as everyone else's here. I was just thinking like the U clips, like seeing another like a bigger company, try to take that onto their catalog. I didn't really think much of it, when Elliot was first trying to get me to try it out way back years ago. Finally, decided to order one, and didn't think I was going to use it, but surprisingly, it's one of those things that, like, once you have it, like, you find so many different uses for it, and, like, I feel like it would be a great little like final things, like when you're placing an order and it's like, hey, do you want to add this to your cart for this or something like that? It would be a nice little add-on like that, or I think the U-clip would be good for things like that. But then also band bell, it pairs so good with the earthquake bar. I guess
nice.
I think Elliot did reach out to them. But I guess they think it's a little too close to their, like, what they have with their little anchor loading for plates. But I mean,
good point.
Good point. Yeah, but that doesn't really work with dumbbells, which is kind of U-Clip's bread and butter there, which is something that it's kind of a struggle to do, to load an earthquake bar with dumbbells with using anything else besides a U-Clip. But yeah, so just basically just somebody collab with U-Clip. I think that's a cool product. And Elliot is also a smart dude. He was showing me another product that he's coming out with, or trying to come out with, that I think could have some legs under it. So if anyone is looking to collaborate with inventors, I would say maybe reach out to him.
Hey, I might be today years old when I learned that the U-clip is not a vaginal contraceptive. I thought.
I started that. I thought he was going to tell us that his innovation was he just wanted to be on a podcast someday, like Mark, maybe, collaborating with Garage Gym Experiment. I don't know. So
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. You want high?
Mark, do you know if Elliot's ever reached out to Rogue just to resell the U-clip? Because I know they carry like a ton of stuff that's manufactured by other companies.
Yep.
I don't know if he could meet whatever their minimum order quantities would be and things like that, but that might be a halfway option if you can't find someone to partner for like the manufacturing scale.
I'm not sure. I'd imagine he probably has. He's and I know he kind of is like a guerrilla marketer at times, so probably has. But yeah, I'll check with him, see if he hasn't for whatever reason.
Well, my idea was going to be, like, I kind of went down the SSB rabbit hole the past year or so, trying to find out which one I like the best. And recently had the Flex. I'm not going to try to steal his thunder, but he's probably got a video come out at some point about all those. But the Elite FTS, it was the best feeling bar of all the ones I've used. And I mean, somebody else can chime in too. But what I hated about it was it has the 1.9 sleeves. So even though I have strength code plates are really tight, even with collars on there, they were slopping around, the plates were bouncing around, even had it fall off on me one time when I was lifting. So I would love somebody to take that bar and put regular collars on it. And I think it would be one of the best bars out there. I don't think Elite FTS wants to do it, but if they would partner with another company, like even a Rogue, because I know Rogue traditionally has a not loved SSB. I heard they're making a new one, so maybe too
horrible.
Late.
Yeah,
I heard
the Rogue one's terrible.
You know, garbage. If that come to fruition or not, but that's what I would say. That because all the other ones, the thing I had about them was the sleeves. Like some of them had a decent pad or whatever, but that one felt the best. But that just made it, a deal breaker for me. Like I know they're going to say, "Oh, you don't lift enough" or whatever out there. People that are going to fact check us, but that's just my feeling on it. I think somebody could update that bar and put new sleeves on it, whether it's like a Mars bar type thing where they put add-on sleeves or something. Like I just think that bar would be so much better, and the coating's not very good either. But if you had better sleeves, it'd be an awesome bar.
Yeah, I think in Europe they actually have stainless sleeves, and I think they're standard barbell ones.
Wow,
dude, that would be.
Which
I'd buy
at least they did a couple of years ago. Yeah, I don't know about now, but no idea why they have yet to do that here.
Harp, I forgot how much I hated those sleeves. I'm not gonna sleep tonight. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that.
Terrible.
But I'll tell you that I think Joey mentioned earlier about how some of the recent activity might have been Bill's response to some online criticism. I will tell you that we spent the majority of the late 2015 through the beginning of the pandemic ragging them about that safety squat bar. It was the worst safety squat bar ever. And their response was to have like Thor put out a video, an IG video doing a set on it. And I don't speak Icelandic, but I promise you all that as he was putting that down in Icelandic, he was saying this is garbage. We just couldn't prove it. Couldn't prove it. So
yeah, that's one item where even Titan beats them on that specific item. That's one.
And how is that possible? How is that possible? Yeah. There you
go. One more. What's your favorite product that you own that nobody talks about?
Who wants to go? Who wants to go first? I'll do it. So I looked around. I have a lot of crazy stuff here, but I tried to stay relevant to what other people would have.
Oh man!
And I have.
Did I lose audio or did everyone?
I hear you.
I hear.
Yeah, Scott. I can hear everyone.
Oh,
I love
Scott
that.
Talking?
Did I freeze? No. Okay. Just checking. So I have the Abnat stone return crash cushion, the one that's made for the Atlas stones. I have actually broken my foot making ramps myself and doing stones, and then come back and I've broken my big toe. And so that is not only a really good buy, and it's not super expensive. It's less expensive than like their log crash cushions and stuff. But it actually the return on it is it's really good, man. I don't know how they handled that. I know Alan Thrall helped develop it, and so they have the density of the foam and all that stuff they're worried about. But yeah, that's the thing that I would say right now. If there's one thing I couldn't get rid of, but not enough people are talking about, boom. Yeah.
I've got one that Mark also knows about. It's the front belt squat harness from Spud Inc. If you own a belt squat machine of any kind, or even have like a DIY setup, you can use it for good mornings. You can use it for a kind of front squat like feeling. My biggest complaint with it is it's like a seat buckle type latch, so you can't get it quite as tight unless you have a training partner. But it adds a ton of versatility to anyone that has those machines, and it's not expensive. And I always hear people talking about belt squats, but no one ever talks about getting that kind of a harness and adding that to it.
Yeah. So I guess I'll go next. So I'm having a hard time deciding which one because I don't know what we're defining as no one is talking about. So I'm just gonna list all three. I feel like they're semi talked about now, or at least one of them is recently. So the first one is the Black Widow VHS bar. Just got that last week, and that might be my favorite specialty bar, period. Just because of how versatile it is so far already, and how good it feels just to use for basically everything I've used it for. So that's number one. Number 2 is the Band Bell Rhino Flex bar. That bar is a lot of fun to use.
That's a
I
great
haven't
bar.
seen anyone, I haven't seen anyone talk about that lately. Dylan Johnson and I forget the exact handle, but Jarhead on Instagram, Jarhead something 123. They use that bar all the time, and I think that bar needs a lot more love just because of how good it is. And then 3, with all the SSB love that's been going on, at least with my little circle. Like Cart mentioned, the yoke bar. People like to really focus in on the sleeves, which are annoying. Like I don't really mind the finish and the paint chipping off that much, but it's just it's just having the smaller having to use the smaller collars. That's the big annoyance for me. And same thing with the knurled handles. Like it's not that. For me, I've never thought it was that big of a deal. But just using that bar, if you've used that one and basically any other one on the market side by side, like you can feel that the yoke bar is just it just feels so much better regardless of like how much weight you're using and what movement you're doing. So Carp, you took that one. That was my initial one that made me think of some other ones when you mentioned it earlier. So
well, if they
that's
fix
why
it, I'll buy.
I'm cheating, going with 3 now.
I was just gonna say if they fix it, I'll buy another one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I want that VHS bar. It's I don't know why I need it, but I need it.
No, yeah, it's it's so good at like press for like it's so good for pressing, rows, overheads, like basically everything that they say you can do with it, like it does it great. I would just say like maybe try to see if Dean can make a version that's a slightly bit thinner, or not as thick, for like some of the rowing movements. It can be a little rougher to use even if you're using straps, but the knurling is so good that like it gets away with it still.
You mean like the bar diameter, like it's a
the bar diameter. Yep, there we go.
Okay.
And on the Rhinoflex, we've had both come through. We have the Rhinoflex still. That's what we predominantly use for warm ups. But the ability to put the weights on, right, on the sleeves themselves or hang them off, like and the Earthquake bar, it's just this like 4-inch hub, so you have to hang everything off of it. It just it opens up so many more options. We love that bar, Mark. That was a good one. Yeah.
So that's the one you would get if you get either one. Price doesn't matter. You go Rhino.
Yeah. So I was gonna make a joke with Mark. So Mark, we have a review out there that has 12 views in the last 6.5 years. So it's a hot. I mean, no one wants to be on lucky 13, so don't click on it. But I will say that we cover in that the Earthquake versus the Rhino is like a $17 difference. Like one's like $320 and the other's $350, or one's $300 and the other's $320, something like that. It's just way too close to even be a question for me. I would just get the Rhino.
Yeah, I ended up getting both. Like I had the Earthquake bar initially, then eventually got the Rhino Flex and was like, why did I buy the Earthquake? I should have just stuck with the Rhino Flex, but basically does the same thing.
Same thing. And as Carp knows, I sold the Earthquake to my nephew Seth. Right, Uncle Scotty sold it to nephew Seth, so I got my money out of it.
I guess one of the things that nobody really talks about, it's kind of a storage item in my gym. Whether I post a picture of just my rack or whatever, I always get questions or DMs like, "Hey, what is that thing hanging on? What is that little hook?" And I have these little hooks that I got from Stray Dog Strength, and they go into 1-inch holes, and they're basically just utility hooks. They'll hold barbells and things, but they are steel. So if you want to do a barbell or something on it, I would probably put some type of something on there. But I hang a lot of like accessories, like straps, clips, other handles, and stuff like that. Attachments on the back side of my rack or under in spots where I don't actually use the uprights, like along the back of the bat wing type design and everything. So now mine are from Stray Dog, but I think Bells of Steel just came out with some, and then I think Fringe has a version of it too. It's just a little metal hook that fits in a 1-inch hole and hangs off your rack. So that's something I think somebody can get a lot of utility out of, and nobody really knows about. And some of them are starting to come out, but I think I just saw Bells of Steel post something today. But every time I post a picture of the side of my rack or something, everybody wants to know what's that hanging from or what's that hook. So mine is from Stray Dog, but you can get them other places.
Yeah, the bells
have
one
one of
literally
those.
just came out today. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the bells one. I have one of those from Fringe, but I don't see it on their website. I got it when they like offered it for you pay $4 shipping and then the hook was free. So I don't know if they're planning to bring it out and have it as a regular item, but the Stray Dog and bells are out there.
Man, so my favorite product, I got a few products that no one talks about, but this comes up like anyway. I brought it for show and tell because I'm sitting here in my gym where I park. And anyway, it's these stupid D handles from Track Fitness. Like I know I say this as often as it comes up. I'm the only one that really ever talks about them, so I guess it's okay. But they look janky. They're like something that you would find on the floor next to the end cap of all the like Nike fitness shit at Ross or TJ Maxx or whatever. Like there's no cool knurling. They look like they're plasticky. The grips are like this rubberized. I mean, even the font that they write on it, like even the font looks like they were actively trying to keep people from buying these things. Like they just don't want you to take them too seriously, right? But I've had every style of D handle. I mean, I've had some sort of cable system for years. I've had every type of D handle, every single one, every variation of it, no matter what cool features or fonts they put on those. There's just nothing that feels as good as this Track Handle Sport from Track Handle or from Track Fitness or whatever the name is. But I mean, I don't know. And they're comfortable. They fit in your hand. And like, it doesn't matter if you're pulling or pushing or flying or curling or whatever. They're just comfortable, like in every position. And it's because they spin like this way, and then they also spin this way, and they spin this way, like back this, like that. It's just every possible movement. And then even if it does, like if this, like the part where the cable attaches or something like that, like if it makes contact with the back of your wrist or the top of your arm or something, has this kind of ergonomic, like soft feel plasticky thing that will rest on the back of your arm and still allow the cable to travel. So anything that you're doing like through the movement, there's just no obstruction whatsoever. And it sucks that no one talks about these things. I mean, it really is a shame. I feel like this is where like your product reviewers and influencers with the biggest social media dicks won't lend their outreach to a great product like this, presumably because the company has no social media presence themselves and definitely doesn't, subscribe to affiliate marketing or anything like that. But they really are great handles, man. I mean, the Sport, not the Pro. Have the Pro also. They aren't as good despite being more expensive, and the Pro version. But I wish that more people would try those. I even wish it would be really cool if somebody would collab with this guy and put some, make them look less Ross, TJ Maxey or whatever. But I mean, I'm a pretty superficial guy, and I'll buy stuff because it looks cool. And for whatever reason, I cannot fucking replace these with all the really cool looking options out there because they just, that's my all arounder. I mean, like, I have other handles that I use that I think like the Prime Rotate, they're really cool for like pulling stuff and kind of cool for flies, but they will dig into my arm. But these things, like as an all arounder, no matter what it is, I don't have to think about whether I'm holding my left one or the right one or, anything like that. They really are like, and that's it. That's my glowing endorsement.
Those are actually so well thought out that the collaboration there should be between them and Kabuki's website people to QA those shipping costs. And I think everything, I mean, that would be phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm
trying to get Jake to laugh. I've been trying to get Jake to laugh the whole show. He won't do it. The dude is unflappable.
Yeah.
Like ice.
He is
I
like
don't know what you're talking
about. He's like everyone on my team. My team doesn't take to my charm either. Whenever I'm like trying to break the ice with stuff, I'm just looking at like, are you guys frozen? Is my camera working? Like, no, they just don't like humor.
maybe next time, Scott. Bonus question: what does PRX need to do to get out of this hole that they're in?
Move to Denmark. I don't know. They're in trouble, man. Yeah.
I think PRX can just wait it out and it'll blow over. I mean, I think that's what they're going to do, and I think it'll be effective. I mean, there'll be some that probably weren't going to buy PRX anyway that will use this to further affirm their decision not to buy PRX. And there are some who, I mean, really, it's like the six of us that are like the most worked up over it. You know what I mean? Like it's a really small,
that's the question. Is the math that they did in their heads that the people that are upset already have their gyms built? And this is going to go to a bunch of people that have never heard of any of these. They've never heard of Vendetta. They've never heard of these other companies. So to your point, in 6 months, this is all gone anyway. Is that what you think they did?
It's like Rogue coming out with their version of the functional trainer racks, and those of us who have had racks are saying, oh, you know what, those guys with the rep and stuff, Rogue, too little, too late. But there are still people that haven't, entered the market yet that are gonna, look at that, and still plenty of market for them. And there are some who just don't care. There are a lot of people who just don't care. That I almost said out loud on camera that I wish someone would rip these off and make them cooler. But I stopped myself and said collab because, I don't want somebody to rip them off. They are patented. Here's the patent number, so.
Yeah.
I'll chime in. I don't necessarily agree. I think like it's the people that are most passionate are the ones, even you say they're not the ones who are like going to buy their stuff, but they do follow them on social media, and they're the ones that comment on their new products and stuff. So I do think there's like a lingering effect. And then also like that Garage Gym Reviews Facebook group is very powerful, and like there's going to be a lingering effect on like those Facebook posts, because there's always going to be someone chiming in when PRX is brought up, and people are going to be like, what are you talking about? And it's, I do think it's a longer effect than
sure.
I think that,
that
you may notice.
Right.
So, and
go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say, I agree with Jason and Jake kind of both at the same time. Like, I think, PRX, like they made it pretty clear they're not going to cave on this one, and they're just going to wait it out. And at this point, probably the best course of action for them. But with like the lingering effects, I think it is going to come back and bite them in the long term, especially because it's a $1,500 like item. Like nobody is going to be. I mean, not very many people, I guess, are going to buy a $1,500 set of jammer arms without doing at least a little bit of research. And not just the Garage Gym Facebook group. If you go look at that Halo arm review that Coop did initially, that kind of sparked a lot of it. Like the comment section there is basically all ripping PRX. I mean, if you're a potential buyer and you go to Garage Gym Reviews and you start going through the comments, that's going to leave an impression there. And I'd imagine basically anyone else who does a review is probably going to have a similar sentiment in their comment section. So I mean, for this particular product, I think they probably did a good amount of damage there. But kind of back to Jason's point, if they just wait it out, it probably will eventually go away when someone else like rips it off. Because I'd imagine there's going to be another like Mikolo or whatever that company is that is coming out with like the $500 fully loaded racks on Amazon. They're probably going to come out with a set of jammer arms that have both functionalities. And then at that point, it kind of is what it is, PRX is probably at that point, not really going to be getting as much backlash because, there's already going to be other knockoffs flooding the market. But yeah, just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I agree with that. They should do the right thing. Yeah, they should do the right thing. I don't think they will. And you're right. The market for a $1,500 set of jammer arms is pretty small, and most of those people are going to be diehard home gym people, and they're going to see this. They're going to remember it. I think the community, like, it's not going to be top of mind all the time. And maybe when they come out with their like pulley attachment to it, where you can use them to turn or turn like a rack attached functional trainer into a like free motion type system, people will be like, yeah, they ripped those guys off, but I really want this cool functionality that no one else has. But yeah, they could maybe save face if they did mea culpa, said that they erred and struck some kind of an agreement or partnership with Kyle and Vendetta, but I would be shocked if they did that based on the video they put out, where they basically lectured everybody about how we don't know anything about patents and we should just shut up.
Do you think there's any other like niche hobby group of nerds that sits and talks about stuff like this in their little niche where they're like, you know, like car guys or something that are worked up over whether or not like 100%. This company stole the idea of the cold air intake from their buddy that is on Instagram or whatever. Yeah.
And when you see all the people right now that especially people that came out during the pandemic with their idea, and now they're getting hit with that renew your idea for $20K, and they either can't sell enough items to fundraise that, or they just aren't in a position to manufacture. Like, yeah, this is going to be this is happening all over the place. It's not just gyms, right?
Well, I think that covers it. Anything else you all want to say before we close it?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity to come by. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Next time we should do pizza or something.
You got it. All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, man.
Hold up, and for you guys who haven't been here, hold up until it is 100% uploaded.